The air inside that dusty conference hall in Dori wasn't just hot. It was angry. The ceiling fans spun like dying helicopters, the humidity clung to the skin like wet sand, and the entire room trembled with a tension that could snap a steel beam. Soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder. Governors stared straight ahead. Foreign journalists leaned forward like vultures waiting for blood. But in the middle of all that chaos sat Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Unshaken. Unmoving. Unbreakable. No fancy suit. No ego. Just combat gear, discipline, and a presence so heavy the room almost bowed to it. On the opposite side of the table sat an empty chair, a chair reserved for a man who loved power more than his nation, General Sékou Diop. A man whose loyalty was not to his people, but to his foreign masters. A man who believed Burkina Faso was a throne he could retake whenever he wished. Everyone knew this wasn't a unity meeting. It was an ambush. A public stage designed to embarrass Traoré, break him, and replace him with a puppet. But what no one knew was that Ibrahim Traoré didn't walk into ambushes. He walked into battles he had already won. Stay with me, because what happened in this room didn't just silence a traitor. It redefined what real leadership looks like. Before the real fire begins, comment your country below. Where are you watching Captain Traoré's story from? Hit the like button, subscribe, and join the Commander Ibrahim Traoré Nation. Where truth, courage, and Africa rise together. Now, let's return to the battlefield disguised as a meeting. The meeting was set for 10 a.m. Traoré arrived at 9:55. Not to show power, but because discipline is in his blood. While waiting, he spoke to junior soldiers like they were his brothers. He asked about their families. Checked if they had enough water under the scorching heat. Stood among them like a man who understood the cost of service. But 10:30 came. No DOP. A classic tactic. Make the leader wait. Try to make him look weak. The foreign mediators shifted in their seats, whispering nervously. Journalists lifted their cameras, ready to capture humiliation. Then at 10:45, the doors exploded open. And General DOP made his entrance. Not like a soldier. Like a man stepping onto a fashion runway. 12 bodyguards, none of them loyal, all of them bought. A spotless uniform that had never touched dust. Gold epaulets shining like he was a king. A loud laugh, echoing across the room like a drunk actor reading a bad script. He didn't salute. He didn't apologize. He didn't acknowledge Traoré. He simply dropped his designer sunglasses on the table with a loud clack. A disrespect so deliberate, the entire room froze. So, DOP boomed, loud enough for cameras. We are all sitting here, waiting on a captain. The insult was sharp. Calculated. Designed to sting. Foreign journalists leaned forward, sensing drama. DOP continued, voice dripping with arrogance. Look at you. A boy in a chair too big for him. You think holding a gun makes you a leader? The country is collapsing, and we are led by a child. The room held its breath. He wanted Traoré to explode. He wanted rage, anger, a snapped temper. For a full minute, he threw insult after insult. His age, his rank, his leadership, even the survival of the nation. Finally, he leaned in, eyes burning with contempt. Go back to the barracks, little captain. Let men handle politics. Before you destroy everything. It was a direct assault. A challenge. A public humiliation attempt broadcast to the world. The soldiers clenched their jaws. Governors looked down. Everyone expected Traoré to erupt. But Ibrahim Traoré didn't move. He didn't blink. He stared straight into the general's soul with a calm so sharp it felt like a blade. For the first time. General DOP began to feel something unfamiliar. Fear. After 10 seconds of crushing silence, Traoré finally leaned toward the microphone. Not to shout, but in a voice so quiet, so calm, that everyone leaned in to hear. General. Is the performance over? The room shook. He didn't respond like a victim. He responded like a judge. Then, in a tone sharper than steel, he continued. You talk about age. About rank. About your 20 years as a general. He paused, let the silence stretch. And then dropped the first hammer. But tell me, General. In those 20 years, where were you? When our borders fell? The journalists froze mid-keystroke. Traoré wasn't defending himself. He was exposing DOP, publicly. He continued, voice unwavering. Where were you? When our soldiers carried empty rifles? When our villages burned? When children fled from terrorists? While you sipped wine in foreign hotels? Gasps filled the room. DOP's confidence shattered. His smirk disappeared. He tried to interrupt. But Traoré raised just one finger. And DOP fell silent. A single finger. From a little captain. That's the power of legitimacy. Traoré leaned back, eyes locked on DOP. You call me a boy. This boy eats with his troops. This boy sleeps in the barracks. This boy fights for his country. Then he delivered the strike that broke DOP's mask. And you? You have experience too. Experience in selling your people. Experience in letting this nation burn. Experience in bowing to foreign masters. The soldiers in the room began nodding. Respect growing like wildfire. The journalists typed as fast as they could. The narrative was changing, right in front of them. DOP wasn't the big man anymore. He was a relic. A corrupt shadow trembling under truth. Humiliated, desperate, shaking. DOP slammed his fist on the table. You watch your mouth, he roared. You are finished. You are isolated. When pressure comes, no one will save you. Then he reached down. And pulled out a black leather briefcase. He slammed it onto the table, a wicked smile forming on his face. I have documents, he said. Proof. Evidence. In this case. I can end your revolution in 5 minutes. The room tensed. Security shifted their stance. Cameras zoomed in. Everyone wondered the same thing. What will Ibrahim Traoré do now? And that, my friend, is where part 2 begins. The black leather briefcase slammed onto the table like a thunderclap. A weapon? Or a bluff? The mediators' faces drained of color. Foreign journalists leaned forward, pens frozen, cameras ready. The room's air thickened again, heavy, suffocating, full of expectation. Everyone was waiting for a leader to crack. Most would panic. They would signal the feed to cut. Call security. Grab the case. But not Ibrahim Traoré. He didn't flinch. He didn't panic. He didn't even frown. He just looked at the briefcase. And then, a small, calm smile touched his lips. Like a man watching a child wave a plastic spider in front of him, thinking it can bite. Go ahead, Traoré said, voice smooth as silk. DOP blinked. Excuse me? Traoré gestured casually with an open hand. Open it. If you have the truth, General, don't keep us waiting. Show the world. Read the papers out loud. We have time. The silence hit like a shockwave. DOP's hand hovered over the latches. The journalists' cameras zoomed in. The soldiers stared, taut as bowstrings. Traoré wasn't begging, negotiating, or hiding. He was calling the bluff in public, on live stage. And DOP froze. "I will release these at the proper time," DOP stammered. "When the courts are ready." Traoré laughed. Not mockery. Not sarcasm. But a laugh that said, "I see right through you. The proper time is now, General. But you won't open it. You know why." He rose slowly. Boots scraping the floor, echoing in the silent hall. "I have nothing to hide, DOP. My bank account is empty, every penny goes to widows of our fallen soldiers. My deals are with farmers in the fields, not lobbyists in suits. You cannot blackmail a man who wants nothing for himself." The crowd murmured. Shock, awe, and something deeper, respect. Traoré had turned DOP's weapon into a useless prop, like a heavy, empty trophy in a failed play. DOP's confidence cracked. Sweat rolled down his temple. His threats failed. His plan unraveled. Cornered, DOP shifted tactics. Since he couldn't touch Traoré's integrity, he aimed for his heart. He stood abruptly, kicking his chair back. Finger shaking, he pointed at Traoré's chest. "You talk about soldiers, you talk about widows, but you are the reason they die," he sneered. "You sent men to their deaths in the north last week." A hush fell. The room felt colder. DOP was wielding tragedy as a weapon, a cruel, low blow. "You call yourself a leader," DOP spat, "you are a butcher leading sheep to slaughter. Do you know what your men say behind your back? Weak. Crying in the office while they bleed in the dirt. Ready to turn on you." The tension stretched to breaking point. This was the moment most leaders would crumble. But not Traoré. Traoré turned his back on DOP. A dangerous, bold move, one misstep, and it could have been betrayal. He faced his head of security, Lieutenant Hassan. Hassan's hand hovered on his holster. Eyes locked with Traoré. Time froze. The journalists held their breath. This was Africa's defining moment, the highest bidder's play versus a leader who stood for something bigger than money. Hassan stepped forward. Boots heavy on the floor, unwavering. He approached DOP. Hand extended, not for loyalty, but for truth. "General," Hassan said, voice strong enough to echo through the microphone, "you offered 3 times our salary to betray our country. The money is in my truck outside. We don't eat money. We eat dignity. And we only take orders from Captain Traoré." The room gasped. DOP's extended hand trembled. His carefully crafted intimidation had failed. His attempt to buy loyalty failed. The guards weren't pawns, they were patriots. Hassan returned to his post, standing taller than ever. Other guards mirrored him. A silent, unified refusal. A public humiliation of DOP that the world would never forget. Traoré turned back to DOP. No cloak. No smugness. No, "I told you so." He spoke with a voice raw with truth, emotion, and authority. "You called me a butcher," he said quietly. "Yes, soldiers die under my command. Every time a coffin comes home, I cry. I know their names. I know their mothers. I carry their pain in my heart every day. But they die standing. Protecting villages. Protecting people. Protecting freedom." He stepped closer, words deliberate, cutting deeper than any weapon. "What did your soldiers die for, DOP? Foreign gold mines? Luxury villas? Do not confuse sacrifice with waste." Murmurs rippled through the room. Some wiped tears. Some nodded, silently pledging loyalty. Traoré wasn't spinning politics. He was speaking like a brother, a son, a man, human, real, untouchable. DOP's face was drained. Money, threats, manipulation, all useless. He was exposed before the cameras. A man stripped of illusion, left with nothing but desperation. Cornered animals are dangerous, yes. But this one was exposed. Panic rose in DOP's eyes. He couldn't simply leave. He had to act. Every second he hesitated, the room tilted further toward Traoré. Soldiers' eyes burned with resolve. The narrative had flipped, live, for the world to see. In those tense seconds, Traoré's message went beyond this hall. It echoed across Burkina Faso. Across Africa. Across every corner where courage matters more than corruption. He had not only survived an ambush. He had taught the world the rules of leadership: integrity, bravery, loyalty, and heart are stronger than gold, power, or fear. The black briefcase sat unopened. A symbol of failed intimidation. A trophy of honesty. A relic of the past, now meaningless. And just like that, the room, heavy with tension, now hummed with respect, awe, and inspiration. General DOP had lost everything: control, reputation, credibility. The soldiers stood taller. The journalists typed faster than ever. And one man, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, stood calm, victorious, and untouchable. The real war wasn't over. But the first battle was won. And the lesson was clear: true leadership doesn't beg, it doesn't bribe, it commands respect through integrity and courage. Next, the world will watch the fallout, the enemies regrouping, the allies strengthening, and Traoré leading a nation with an iron will and a human heart. Stay tuned, because Part 3 will show how the young captain transforms fear into a revolution. The room was frozen. A silver-plated pistol trembling in DOP's hands, aimed squarely at Traoré's chest. One twitch. One misstep. Burkina Faso's history could be rewritten in a single heartbeat. Lieutenant Hassan's finger tightened on his trigger, eyes locked. The journalists ducked, chairs toppled, chaos erupting. But Traoré did the unthinkable. "Hold your fire," he shouted, voice sharp as a gunshot, cutting through the chaos. "I said, stand down." Panic flashed across Hassan's face. "Captain, he has a weapon." "I know," Traoré replied calmly. "Stand down." The room went silent. Even DOP's gun seemed to shiver under the weight of Traoré's presence. Step by deliberate step, Traoré left the safety of his guards. He walked toward the barrel, unarmed, unprotected, utterly fearless. The air hummed, the hum of the air conditioners amplified every heartbeat. DOP's hand shook, pistol wavering. He had expected chaos, expected a firefight. He hadn't expected a man walking straight into death with hands open. "Stay back," DOP warned, his voice hushed with hysteria. "I'll kill you, Traoré." 2 feet away now. Sweat dripped from DOP's forehead. Fear glimmered in his eyes. Traoré looked down the barrel, then directly at the man. "You are shaking, Siku," Traoré said, using DOP's first name. Not disrespect, but stripping away titles, ranks, and politics, man to man. "You are shaking because you know pulling that trigger won't save you. You can kill me. I am flesh and bone. But if you kill me, you make me a martyr. And tomorrow, 10 million Ibrahims will rise in my place. You are not fighting a man anymore, you are fighting an awakening." DOP's arm trembled. The gun grew heavier in his hand. He was armed, rich, powerful, yet utterly enslaved by fear. "Why," he choked out, tears beginning to pool. "Why aren't you afraid?" Traoré's gaze held steady, voice calm, unwavering. "I died a long time ago. The day I wore this uniform, I gave my life to the people. I own nothing, fear nothing. But you are a prisoner of your own greed." The word struck DOP harder than any bullet. He looked at the soldiers, disgust on their faces. He looked at the elders, pity in their eyes. For the first time, DOP saw the truth, he had become the coward he always despised. Traoré extended a hand. Open. Non-threatening. Human. Give it to me. It's over. Come home. The room held its breath. DOP's choice, pull the trigger and end it all, or surrender, losing everything. The silver-plated pistol slipped from DOP's grasp. It clattered onto the floor with a metallic thud. A sound louder than any gunshot. A sound that signaled the end of an era. DOP collapsed into his chair, burying his face in his hands. Sobbed, not by force, but by the sheer moral authority of a young captain. Lieutenant Hassan and the security team moved instinctively, zip ties ready. But Traoré raised his hand. Stop. Hassan's eyes widened. Captain, he tried to kill you. I know, Traoré said, lifting the fallen pistol, handing it to Hassan without even glancing at it. And now, we teach mercy. Traoré crouched, level with DOP's eyes. Siku, look at me. DOP expected death. Execution. Retribution. Instead, freedom. You are free to go. Shock rippled through the room. Free? After attempting assassination? Madness? Genius? Traoré stood tall, addressing the stunned crowd. The greatest punishment isn't prison. It isn't death. It's letting a man live to witness the change he thought he could stop. Let him live to see the children he ignored get an education. Let him watch farmers reclaim stolen land. Let him see Burkina Faso rise, while he fades into irrelevance. DOP rose shakily, feet dragging, weight of his own failures pressing down. His bodyguard stepped aside, powerless. DOP exited into the sunlight, free in body, destroyed in spirit. Traoré returned to the table. Adjusted the microphone. Calm. Focused. Unshaken. Now, he said, pen in hand, can we discuss grain distribution for the northern villages? Our people are hungry. No speeches. No self-congratulation. No lap of victory. Feeding the people. That was the mission. That was leadership. Across Africa, the footage went viral. Kenya. Mali. Niger. Young people watched, tears in their eyes. A leader unbought. Unbroken. Unshakable. DOP faded into obscurity. Money, threats, and status couldn't buy respect. Traoré proved that true power is integrity, courage, and service. Traor's confrontation taught the world. Real leadership is calm in chaos. True strength is moral, not physical. Fear cannot exist where purpose is greater than life itself. General DOP lived to see it all. Every school built. Every road paved. Every village thriving. And he knew, the young captain's legend was only beginning. This is why Ibrahim Traoré's name will endure, not as a captain, but as a man who awakened a continent. If this story moved you, subscribe. Join the Commander Ibrahim Traoré Nation. Share hope. Spread leadership. Inspire courage. Because the world is watching, history is changing, and together, we are just getting started.